Hello, welcome. We're going to wait just a few minutes for people to arrive to this gentle yoga class, but thank you for tuning in. As we wait in the next few moments, feel free to gather whatever props you'd like to use, if you use props. That might be a towel or a blanket if you like to sit on that or rest your knees on that for some of the postures. Some of you may use blocks. Feel free to gather your blocks now. Maybe you like to have a sweatshirt and socks to cover up with for our final resting pose, Shavasana. You have a few moments now if you'd like to gather all your materials and get your cozy yoga space all set up. I'll just make sure that we are ready to go. I see people are joining us now. Feel free to settle in. You don't need me to begin your practice, so feel free to get comfortable on the mat, either sitting or lying down on your back. Close your eyes, deepen your breath. The yoga can begin with you and your breath. You don't even need me, but I'll be back in just a few seconds. Thanks. Thank you for joining. Great, welcome. Hi. This is fun. Our community is growing, and if you think of it, why don't you go ahead and take a selfie of wherever you are and whoever you're practicing with and send it to me so that I can see the kind of community, virtual community that we have here today. You can either take that selfie now as we're waiting to begin or at the end of class and send it to me in an email or to my studio page. We'll just be a few more moments. Go ahead and settle in. Go ahead and settle in on your mat and grab any props that you'd like to have with you. No props necessary, optional. Let's go ahead and get started, and people can join us whenever they'd like to join in. Hi, I'm Kimberly Lazzeri. I teach voice at NKU School of the Arts, as many of you know, and I also teach yoga. I'm a certified Kripalu yoga teacher, and for those of you who have practiced yoga in the past, it's a lot of the same postures that you're used to. The thing that I love about Kripalu is that it translates to compassion. And that's something I'd really like us to be thinking about today. Compassion for ourselves wherever we are, mentally, emotionally, physically. It's all okay, and nothing needs to change about the way we're feeling right now. So, be mindful during this practice. Be mindful of wherever you're at. If you have any injuries that you are dealing with, please modify the postures so that they work for your body. I always say that we're not going to be on the cover of Yoga Magazine, and there are going to be no awards distributed for touching your toes, so these postures don't have to look like any one thing. Make sure that it feels good for your body, and know that whatever feels good is right for you. And there's a difference between pain and a good stretch. So be aware of that difference. And if for any reason you're in any kind of pain, then go ahead and back out of that and choose a different option. Okay, let's get started. I'd like to go over a couple. You can either lie down with your knees resting towards one another in a constructive. Extend your legs forward. We're lying down on our backs. I saw that the connection might have been lost for a moment there. Lie down on your backs and begin to deepen your breath. And don't force anything. Just allow the belly to rise and fall. You might choose to close your eyes here, go inward, noticing how on the inhale, the belly gently rises, and on the exhale, gently draws back in. Notice that. If you'd like to feel that even more, you can take your hands and place them on your low belly to feel the rise of the belly on the inhale, and the way that it draws back in on the exhale, without your having to do anything. You don't have to make the breath happen. You can pay attention to this at night when you're lying in bed on your back. just noticing the gentle rise and fall of your belly. This is called Dirga breath in yoga. This low belly breathing that so many of us as singers and actors are so familiar with, this belly breathing is the kind of breathing that you'll do for our yoga practice today. So gently roll over onto your side and press your hands into the ground to join me in a seated position. Take your time, there's no rush. We're going to transition between postures mindfully and slowly. Coming to a seated position, you have a lot of different options. You can sit like I am on my knees, or you can sit on your bum, cross-legged or in a lotus pose. Choose one leg to go in front. Our sides of the body feel different, so one leg in front might feel better than the other. You can try that. And then if you are sitting on the ground like I am, rock a little bit side to side and pull the flesh from your bum and find the bony part of your bum and ground that down into the earth as you grow tall through your spine. So let's see if we can feel that Dirga, low belly breath breathing as we're sitting here now. Take your hand, place it on your lower belly. Go ahead and close your eyes. And on the inhale, allow your belly to drop down and out. And on the exhale, notice how the belly draws back in. Great. Do a few of these. I invite you to close your eyes. And breathe at your own pace. Beautiful. Time to layer on top of that Dirga breath another kind of yoga breath that you may or may not be familiar with. It's called Ujjayi breath. It's this ocean-sounding breath, or Darth Vader breath, however you want to think of it. And so that we can get in touch with how this works, let's do a little bit of an exercise. Take your hand, place it in front of your mouth. Imagine that it's a window or a mirror, and we're going to gently fog it up with our breath. So it'll look like this. First, we're going to do it with our mouths open, and then we're going to close our mouths. First, mouth open. On the inhale, I'm going to move that mirror behind me, and now inhale this way. Exhale, fog up the mirror. Inhale, fog it up this way. Terrific. You might say, this doesn't feel so good, it makes my throat feel scratchy. Well, the good news is we do Ujjayi breath with our mouths closed. So let's try this now. The same thing, this partially closed glottis for our vocal pedagogy nerds out there. And let's do it with our mouths closed. Here we go. Try closing your eyes and doing it without your hand. Breathe at your own pace, maybe imagining the ocean and the tide coming in and out. Beautiful. If you don't feel like it's perfect, know that it's a practice and it's something that you can continue to work on. Our last step before moving into our centering, before our practice, is to combine the Dirga and the Ujjayi. So one hand on your lower belly. You can use the mirror or not. And we're going to inhale with our Ujjayi breath, feel the belly drop down and out. Exhale, draw back in. Keep going, keep going. Notice if you're gripping your jaw and let that go. Notice if you're furrowing your eyebrows, let that go. And continue that deep, beautiful Ujjayi breath. Hey, if that doesn't work for you, you don't have to use it. Just continue breathing deeply in your body. But for me, I find the Ujjayi breath so calming, and it's something that I use even backstage before performances, or if I'm in a class where I perform late in the class, I love to just do this gentle, low Ujjayi breath as a way to calm down. Beautiful. So keep that beautiful breath going, even though you don't hear me doing it. Keep that beautiful breath going as you settle in once more for our centering. If you have been sitting with one leg in front, go ahead and change that leg. Rock a little bit side to side, ground back down. Find a happy place for your hands. Your palms can be resting on your knees, either palms down, or you can experiment with palms up, or a mudra with your hands, or you can allow them to just rest in your lap. There's no right or wrong. Do whatever feels good for you. Reconnect with the deep breath and close your eyes. Keep the breath going and begin a physical scan of your body. Start at the top of your head and scan all the way down to your toes, noticing how you're feeling physically in this moment. Keep in mind, there are no labels. There's no good or bad as to how you're feeling. It's just what is right now. Keep that breath flowing as you scan down your body. Now let's shift our attention to our minds. Notice your thoughts and how fast they may be coming through your mind. We call that the monkey mind, with thoughts darting in and out. See if you can try something for the duration of this yoga practice. See if you can imagine that your thoughts are like clouds, and they come in and they float right back out. So our minds don't have to be blank for yoga. There's no way. But we could practice not attaching to those thoughts, allowing the thoughts to come in and allowing them to move right back out. Continue your beautiful deep breaths. Now shift your attention to your heart center. Notice how you're feeling emotionally. Again, there's no right or wrong or good or bad, and nothing needs to change about the way you're feeling right now. Just notice it and allow it all to be there. It might change. It might change during the course of this practice. It might change at the end of the practice, but don't force it to be anything that it isn't. Just breathe into it. As you continue those low, deep breaths, I'd like for you to imagine a calm and peaceful place. A few different places may come to mind for you. Pick one. Pick one. Maybe you're by the ocean. Maybe you're in the forest. Maybe you're at the top of a mountain. Maybe you're in the middle of a meadow. Pick that perfect place for you. It's calm, it's peaceful, and there's no chance of your being disturbed. Notice where you are. Notice the colors, the textures, the smells in the air. Notice what season it is. What's the temperature like? Is there anything you can feel around you? No problems to solve. No to-do lists here. Just calm and peaceful. The breath and you. Take a few more low breaths in this beautiful place. I'll give you a moment of silence here. In the next few moments, I'd like for you to flutter your eyes gently open. Take your time. You might even gaze softly at the ground right in front of you, gently allowing the light in. And would you take a moment to just notice? Notice your stillness. Notice your energy. Notice if anything has shifted at all for you since the start of our practice. After just sitting quietly, breathing for a few moments. And so we deepen that breath once again. Invite the Ujjayi to come along with us, and we slowly and mindfully roll over our knees to set up for our tabletop position. Let's start with our foundation. Look down at your hands and make sure that they are right underneath your shoulders and that your knees are right underneath your hips. This is where you might like to put a towel or a blanket underneath your knees if you like extra cushioning. If you're using a yoga mat, you could even fold the mat over for a little extra cushion here. Stretch your fingers really wide and press your full palms into the ground to help protect your wrists. And we're going to start with some cat-cows. It looks like this. On the inhale, you're going to press your heart forward. On the exhale, you're going to draw the belly button in and round the spine. Releasing the head. Inhale, do it with me. Inhale the whole length of your breath. And then exhale, round the spine, release the head. Continue in this way, moving at whatever pace is right for you. We don't have to be together. On the inhale, we press the heart forward. And on the exhale, we round the spine, release the head and neck. Good. Do a few more of these. I invite you to close your eyes. I love closing my eyes during my practices so that I can tune in to how I'm really feeling, the sensations that I'm feeling in my body. going to start moving in a more organic way, in any way that feels good for us. So we can start to circle the torso a little bit. We can press ourselves back towards our heels and move in any way that feels good, moving the head and neck, going one direction and then the other, rounding the spine, truly moving in whatever way feels good for us today. And you may choose to spend a little bit of time, if you have any achiness or any extra spots that need love and attention, spend time there, sending a little bit of stretch and movement and breath and love. There's no right or wrong, just move with your breath. Good. Continuing to circle, spending time nurturing any spots that need love. Beautiful. We'll meet back in our neutral tabletop position and we'll press back for our first child's pose. So for child's pose, go ahead and open your knees wide. If you're on a yoga mat, you might open them the whole width of the mat. And then let's press ourselves all the way back towards our heels. We can walk our hands out forward and rest the forehead on the ground. Now, hey, you can play with the distance between your knees for the child's pose. You may find that something might feel too wide. You can narrow that space, make any adjustments that you need to feel comfy in your child's pose. We're breathing now with our foreheads resting on the ground. And keep in mind too, yoga is fluid. We don't stick ourselves into any position. So even as you're in your child's pose, you might wiggle your hips a little bit side to side. Sending a little breath back there. Yeah, move in whatever way feels nurturing to your body in this moment. Beautiful. Keep in mind that child's pose can serve as a home base. So if we're doing a posture that doesn't feel so good for your body, feel free to come back to your child's pose. Soon we'll be moving into our downward dog. Sometimes this feels a little too stressful on people's bodies, and so they choose to come back down to child's pose. It's here for you, whenever you want it, whenever you need it. Good. Pressing back up from that child's pose, and let's come back to our neutral tabletop position. Good. Let's start by grounding down through the left hand into the earth. Stretch those fingers wide. Feel that connection and energy from the earth. And now let's reach that right arm straight up towards the ceiling. Stretch your fingers. Turn your face towards the sky. Close your eyes. Breathe here and imagine that the sun is warm on your face. Breathe here. Breathe it in, all that glorious sunshine. Take a big inhale here. And then exhale, thread the needle. Bring that hand underneath the other and come to rest on the ground here. It's helpful if you press that right arm down into the earth. It'll allow you to go even deeper into the twist. Notice, are you holding your breath? If so, simply come back to it. Simply come back to it. Breathe in this twist. It might feel harder to breathe here, and that's okay. We just remind ourselves to keep coming back to that breath. Good. I'm going to give you a couple of options in this pose. One option is not any better than the other. It just depends on what you like to do in your practice. You might even choose to try an option and say, oh, no, never mind, and come back to what you were doing before. So here are a couple options in this twist. Here you are lying on the ground. You can choose to raise your left arm up towards the sky. You can also choose to wrap that arm around your back into a bind. Or you can say, I was happy where I was. and come back to that first version of the pose. Wherever you are, breathe. Beautiful. No matter what option you're in, let's press ourselves back up and come to a neutral tabletop. Take a moment to just move a little bit side to side, maybe noticing if one side feels different than the other. That would make sense. Let's do the other side so we can even ourselves out. Start by pressing down into the ground through your right hand. Find that connection first. Now let's reach that left arm up towards the sky. Turn your face to the sun and breathe it in. Maybe you even add a smile on your lips. Feel free to do that too. Open your mouth and sigh it out. Nice. Okay, take a nice inhale in, expand through your heart center, and exhale. Let's thread the needle. Thread the needle. Come to rest on your head here. And if you're going to take one of the options that you took on the other side, give yourself a chance to first experience the first version of the twist. So breathe there first, and then after a few breaths, you might decide, I'd like to reach my arm up towards the sky, or I might even like to reach it around my back. Up to you. Wherever you are, breathe. Couple more. Beautiful. Wherever you are, come out of that position back to our neutral tabletop and maybe sway your hips a little bit side to side. Here's where we move into our downward facing dog. A reminder that child's pose is another good option here. Let's start by pressing our hands into the earth with those outstretched fingers. Again, having those outstretched fingers will really help to protect the wrists. So let's start with that contact there. And then please curl your toes under. Great. And then mindfully press your hips up and back towards the back of the room. And then pedal your heels to the ground. Bend one knee and then bend the other knee, swaying your hips side to side. Keep going. Swaying your hips side to side, bending one knee and then the other, pressing the earth away from you. So it's less of a push-up as we move towards a V position with our bodies, moving towards a flat back. Good. Keep breathing, moving through your downward dog, nice and flexible and fluid. Beautiful. Exploring this posture with your breath. Beautiful. I'll rejoin you in your downward facing dog. Look to the top of your mat and then mindfully step slowly to the top of the mat. Let's hang out here in our forward fold, in our ragdoll. So go ahead and find a nice bend in your knees. Remember how I said there'd be no awards for touching the ground with straight legs. Allow there to be a bend in the knees as we just hang over here like ragdolls. And you don't have to be touching the ground. I mean, you could really be right here if that serves you today. So find your forward fold and shift your weight a little bit side to side. Breathe and explore here. Do something for me. Nod your head yes, and nod your head no, just to make sure that we're not holding the neck in place. Beautiful. Oh, feel that nice expansion in your lower back on those inhales. Great. Some people like to grab a hold of opposite elbows down here. I'm demonstrating that if that's something you would like to do. Other people like to do binds. It's up to you. It's your practice. And now let's press firmly into the earth with our feet and slowly, 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 slowly roll ourselves up, one vertebra at a time. The last thing to come up will be our heads. And when we're fully upright, go ahead and roll the shoulders up, down, and back. And turn your palms to face front. Go ahead now and close your eyes. Close your eyes. In our mountain pose, in our Tadasana, do you remember that peaceful place from the start of our practice? Would you go there now? Would you send yourself right back to that calm and peaceful spot where there's no one to disturb you? Nothing to worry about, nothing to do, no place to be. Just you and your breath. In the next couple of moments, flutter your eyes open, just taking a moment before we move on to notice how you feel. And let's check in with our Tadasana pose. Look down at your feet, please, and see that your feet are hip width apart, parallel. You might even wiggle your toes and shift your weight on your feet a little bit to find this perfectly balanced spot right in the middle. Now, if you would, take your hands, and would you pull the energy up from the earth with me? So we're going to pull that energy up the legs, feeling that strong connection to the earth. Pull it up, pull it up, pull it up, pull it up. Stop at your belly button, and imagine that you've got a zipper here. And zipper your torso up and out. Here, I'll do it this way too. It's like a body roll. So you're going to zipper yourself up and out, and then take those shoulders and allow them to settle back on your back. Good. Notice if you have a little bit more space here in your torso. We go through so much of our days sort of compressed down here. And if we just zip ourselves up, we find all of this beautiful space. Good. Reconnect with the ground, look down at the earth, make sure those feet are about hip width apart. Find that zippered up torso, and with me, gather the energy between your arms. Stretch out those fingers, interlace your hands, turn your palms towards the sky, and then roll the shoulders down your back so that there's this space between your ears and your shoulders. We're not up here. We're down here. Good. Reconnect with the earth, wiggle your toes. Inhale, grow tall. And with that beautiful core where we zipped ourselves up, let's move side to side. Yeah, this can look like whatever you want it to look like. You can peek underneath your arm, drawing the arms back by your ears. You can even start rounding the spine and making it look funky and organic, whatever feels good to you. But you know what I'll say, breathe. Breathe as you move, yeah. Awesome, let's go deeper into this side stretch. Let's step the left foot back behind you. Stretch. Beautiful. And then coming back through center, step the other foot behind you. Beautiful stretch. Draw the arms back. And step back to center and slowly allow your arms to come to resting by your side. Take one hand, put it on your heart. Take one, put it on your low belly, and close your eyes. Feel your beating heart, the warmth of your body. How grateful I am to be able to be here doing this with you. All right. right, time to get moving. Arms relax back down. You can open your eyes. We're onto our breath of joy. Here's how it goes. Arms will go forward, then out to the side, then up, and then down. If we link that with the breath, it's going to go inhale, inhale a little more, inhale a little more, and just drop it down on the exhale. This is going to go faster and faster, so do it with me. Ready? Here we go. Inhale. 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 A little faster. Open your mouth, drop your jaw. Inhale, inhale, inhale. Couple more. One more. Here we go. Make it a good one. Good. And slowly come back to stillness. Now, once again, put your hand on your heart and one on your belly. And come back to stillness. Notice that beating heart now. Flutter your eyes open, release your arms. Time to move into our warrior positions, Virabhadrasana 1. So let's start by putting our hands on our hips, and let's step the right foot back behind us, about a leg's width distance, okay? We're going to press through the back heel, and we're going to bend through the front knee, moving towards a 90-degree angle. Now, look down at your toes. If you can't see them, if the knee is blocking your toes, back it up a little bit. We don't want to push the knee too far there. We want some healthy alignment. So take those hands back on the hips, square them to the front of the room like they're headlights. Good. Now take one hand on your belly and one hand on your lower back. Draw the tailbone down. Find that great engagement of the zipper. And reach your arms up and over by your ears and settle the shoulders down your back. Good. So this doesn't have to be static. Let's move with our breath. Inhale and exhale, deepen into the pose. We inhale and expand, and exhale, we come deeper into the pose. Do a few of these. Come into your fullest expression of the pose, bright and shining hearts. Beautiful. Now let's turn into our warrior 2. So keep that same knee bent, that left knee bent towards the front of the room. Turn the back toes in, bring your arms out into a T. Roll the shoulders down the back. Again, look down at your bent knee. Make sure that it's not moving over the toes. Breathe here. And again, we can undulate. We can inhale and exhale, come deeper into the posture. Fierce warriors. Good. Lengthen through that left leg. Straighten it. Reach as far as you can, as if we're going to touch hands over here. And then bring that left hand down to your leg. Now it can be anywhere on your leg. It doesn't have to be all the way down here. It can even be up here. And reach the right arm up to the sky for triangle. Breathe here. Beautiful. Press down through your feet. Draw yourself back up. Turn to the front of the room. Bring your hands to your hips. Spring to the front. Release your hands. Close your eyes. Breathe here. Time for the other side. Bring your hands to your hips. Step your left foot back now behind you, about a leg's width distance. Sink into the pose, pressing out through the back heel and pressing towards a 90-degree angle. Let's square the hips to the front of your mat. Draw our arms up and into our Virabhadrasana 1. Remember, this can move with the breath. So on the inhale, we can grow tall and expand. And on the exhale, we can draw deeper into the pose. Beautiful. Come into your fullest expression of your bright and shining warrior one. And now let's move fluidly into our warrior two with that bent right knee. The back toes come inwards, arms out into a T, gaze over that middle finger, and breathe. Now straighten that right leg. Reach towards me as if someone's pulling your hand, and bring that right hand down to your leg. Reach the left arm up towards the sky. Look up towards that hand as the fingers reach towards the sky. Breathe here. Beautiful. Pull yourself back up with strong legs. Turn to the front of the room. Step forward. Close your eyes. You can always take that one hand to your heart, one to your belly, and check in with how you're doing. Good. Now let's release the chin to the chest, and we'll roll ourselves down to our bellies. Take your time. One vertebra at a time, coming through our tabletop position. Come to lie down on the ground on your bellies. If you're a glasses wearer, this is where you might take them off and place them somewhere safe to the side. And come to resting on the ground with your arms resting by your side. You can choose to rest on one cheek. You can choose to make a pillow with your hands if you'd like a little bit of support. But for now, just surrender. Just surrender. As you lie on your bellies, allow yourself to be supported by the earth. Can you let go even more? Can you let go? Feel yourself grow heavy, heavy, heavy on the ground. Nothing for you to do, just breathe and be supported. Noticing how it feels when you inhale and the belly presses towards the earth. Let's move into our back bends now. That sounds scary, but it isn't. So I'll come to meet you again on my belly, and I'm going to show you a few different options here. I hope you can see me. So one option would be the Sphinx, where I'm resting on my forearms. My forearms are parallel out in front of me, the Sphinx, just like you would imagine them. Now, the important part for all of these back bends is that before we do anything, we press the lower half of our bodies down into the earth. So as I'm demonstrating this, I'm pressing into the earth, the tops of my feet. I'm pressing my pelvis into the earth. I've got this really firm contact and foundation in the lower half of my body. And then as I rest on my forearms here, I draw the shoulders down my back so that I'm not like this, but I've got this beautiful space between my ears and my shoulders. That's one option. Another option would be different versions of Bhujangasana or Cobra. So if you'd like to try baby Cobra, you take your hands, you put them underneath your shoulders, you draw the elbows in towards your body, and you lift your torso off the earth just a little bit. Now, I have so much contact with the lower part of my body that I could actually just take my hands off the ground and support myself this way. So just make sure you're not putting too much weight and supporting yourself with the hands. Let me relax that. And now let me show you full Bhujangasana, full Cobra. So your hands would be where they were before, underneath the shoulders, with the elbows in towards the body. It's really common for us to be somewhere out here with our wings. Draw them in towards your body, roll the shoulders back and down. And my biggest advice to you here would be, don't overextend the arms. So we're not going to here. We're going to allow for a little bend in the elbows as the shoulders draw back and down. And I can even move a little bit in whatever back bend I'm in to make it nice and juicy and nurturing. Okay, if you've been doing these with me, come to rest. And if you were resting on one cheek before, rest on the opposite cheek now. Give yourself a moment of rest before picking one of your back bends to try. Maybe it's Sphinx, maybe it's baby Bhujangasana, maybe it's full. Maybe if you have time, you could even do two. So in your own time, begin by pressing down with your lower body into the earth. That's your foundation. And then with your breath, move into your version of back bend for today. And wherever you are, breathe. Feel free to move a little bit side to side, exploring the pose with your breath. Again, if you were someone who wanted to do two, you can release that and then try another one. You might try another one and say, never mind. I don't want to do that after all. And you can just come to resting on the ground. The nice thing about this virtual community is I can't see you at all. You've got this beautiful privacy. So what you do on your mat is totally up to you. So come back down if you were in one of your back bends. And now let's do the opposite. Since we were just back bending, let's forward bend. Let's come back to our familiar child's pose. Draw the knees wide, press your hips back, extend your arms forward, and rest your head on the ground. I should say too, you can also experiment with being a little seed. Instead of stretching your arms forward, you can bring them alongside. Find whatever feels good for you. And if you want more, feel free to go back into your downward dog. So wherever you are, whether it's the child's pose or downward dog, let's come to our tabletop. We're going to move into our pigeon pose, okay? We can do this either on the ground like this, or I'm going to show you another option, okay? So here's the first option. We can take the right knee first and bring that forward on the ground. We're going to extend the left leg back. I hope you can see this. I'm going to move back just a little bit. Great. So you may say, what is the angle of that right leg? It doesn't really matter. Traditionally, we would work towards having a parallel leg at the front of the mat, but you can make this bend as big as you would like. Look back behind you. Look at your left leg and just make sure that it's reaching back straight behind you. And you can relax the top of the foot on the ground. So I am on my fingertips here. Let's start here. I roll the shoulders down my back. I press my heart forward. And I press the lower part of my body down into the ground. In fact, you could do this with me if you feel comfortable and safe. You could even let go of the fingertips on the ground and notice how much you're able to support your body as you ground down into the earth and draw the tailbone down as we zip our torso up. Good. So you can stay right here. If you would like to try something else, you can walk yourself forward and you can relax here on your forearms. If you'd like, you can go even further and relax your forehead on the ground. If you would like one of those options, go into that now. And as soon as you're there, reconnect with your breath. Okay, here's another option. If you'd like to try this with me, you can lie down on your back. And you know how we had that right leg forward? Well, go ahead and cross that right leg over your left. And then you're going to take your hands, bring them between the legs, interlace your fingers behind the thigh of your left leg, and you can press in towards your body for the same kind of stretch. One is not any better than the other, just different. So try one of those. Either Tabletop, pigeon this way, or on your back. Breathe. Oh, you'll have moments of, when is this over? When does she say I can get out of this? Try to breathe through that kind of resistance, unless there's pain, in which case, back out. But otherwise, allow yourself with every exhale to sink more and more deeply into the pose. Deep breaths. You will surprise yourself with how deeply you can move into a physical posture if you keep that breath flowing. Beautiful job. You're probably thinking, easy for her to say, she's not even doing it. I'm watching you. So I'm going to come meet you back where we are. If you were all the way down on the ground, walk yourself back up. If you need a little extra stretch, you can bend that back leg and grab a hold of it for even a little more stretch. I'm flexing through that back foot, drawing the leg towards my body if you want a little bit of that extra stretch. And again, I'm pressing down into the earth for that beautiful kind of height. Let it go, release it. And come back to your neutral tabletop, wiggle it around a little bit. Noticing if one side feels any different than the other. Good. And now we're going to come to pigeon on this side. So now draw the left knee forward at whatever angle feels good for you. Look back at your leg, make sure it's going straight behind you. And find that pressing down, that sense of strength and groundedness into the earth. Good. You can stay right here. This is perfect. But again, if you want something different, you can walk yourself forward or a forward fold. Wherever you are, breathe. If you're taking the other option, remember you can lie on your back, cross now the left leg on the right, reach in between, interlace your fingers, draw the legs in towards your body. Wherever you are, reconnect with your breath. Beautiful. So I will rejoin you so that we can come out of this position mindfully. Again, you have the option, if you would like, to do this leg stretch here, reach back behind you, press your foot into your hand for some resistance here, and release. Good. Stretch it out, wiggle a little bit, shift the hips side to side. Let's come to our seat. Okay, so swing the legs forward. Time for some butterfly. You probably remember this from when you were a kid. It's called Baddha Konasana in yoga. So if you're someone who uses blocks or uses some support, you can always put that here to rest your knees on. It doesn't matter how low your knees go. We are not trying to get them all the way down to the ground. What we are trying to work towards, though, is a long, tall spine. So if you find that you're somewhere back here, see if you can change where your feet are so that you can find a little more of an upright seated position. And again, for everyone sitting, let's rock a little bit side to side. Find the bony sits bones, ground them into the earth, and bring your hands on either side of your feet, drawing your feet in towards the center of your body. Nice. Breathe. So, you can stay right here. This is awesome. Or, if you want something else, you have a couple options. You can walk yourself forward and hang out in another forward fold. Or, if you think, I need another back bend, I need another heart opener, then take your fingertips, put them on the ground right behind your bum. Roll the shoulders back towards one another, close your eyes, and breathe here with the sun, as I like to imagine, on my face. So wherever you are, pick what's best for you and breathe in it. Beautiful. Wherever you are, slowly come out of that position. Stretch your legs out in front and wiggle them out. Let's do a quick twist before we come down to our backs. Extend through your legs. Flex the feet. Now take the left foot, bring it on the floor on the outside of your lengthened right leg. Good. Now take your hands and press the knee in towards your body. Find that grounding down and the growing tall through the crown of your head. And now bring your left fingertips on the ground just behind your bum. Inhale, grow tall. Have you stopped flexing your foot? Reflex it. We're going to twist, but we're not going to twist with the head moving first. We're going to twist from the belly. So belly button twists, then the ribs, and then the gaze is the very last thing to look behind you. So we twist from this really strong sense of core within. Belly, ribs, and then the gaze. Good. Continue flexing that foot. Breathe wherever you are. We know that some circumstances, both on and off of the mat, are more difficult than others to breathe in. And so we need our breath now more than ever, right? Good. Keep breathing. Good. And slowly unwind, with the gaze being the last thing to come forward. Good. Release that leg forward, bounce it out. Maybe you shift a little bit side to side. Let's set up for the other side. So now let's really lengthen through that left leg, which will be extended out in front of you. Go ahead and give yourself an assist. Bring that right foot on the outside of that extended left leg. Find your height again through the spine. Flex through the foot. Draw the knee in towards the center of your body. Bring the right fingertips right behind you on the ground. Inhale, grow tall. Exhale, belly, ribs, and then the gaze behind you. Keep breathing. Some of you may have a practice where you take your elbow and you put it on the outside here. That's fine too. The only thing that we want to be aware of is remaining tall through this twist and avoiding hunching over. Good. Keep breathing. And slowly unwind and come back to the front of the room. And reach your leg out and bounce them out. Good. Scoot your bum to the top of the mat. Bring your knees up towards the sky. Extend your arms out in front of you. Insert the shoulders into your back. Extend your fingertips. And with control, slowly roll yourself down onto your backs. You can can bring your arms out into a T position here. Your palms can be down or up towards the sky. And just windshield wiper your knees side to side. So your legs can be the full width of the yoga mat. And you're just going to allow the knees to move side to side. Breathe as you do it. And now allow the knees to fall to one side. Let's say the left, okay? Allow the knees to fall all the way to the left side. Bring your gaze in the opposite direction of your knees. So if your knees are relaxing to the left, bring your gaze to your right. And if you would like an even deeper twist, you can take your left foot and place it on top of the right leg to really gently give you even more stretch here. And breathe. We're winding down here, so feel free to close your eyes. Close your eyes as we begin to wind down our practice. Keep breathing. And then bring your knees through center and allow them to fall to the other side. And then bring your gaze in the opposite direction. Bring your knees back to center. Hug them into your chest. Give yourself a really nice squeeze as you're lying on your back. Come into a tight ball. And then release your legs long out in front of you. Bring your arms down by your sides with the palms facing upwards. You might shift a little bit side to side as you get comfy here. This is the moment where you might choose to put a sweatshirt on, or you might choose to put your socks on. Or for those of us who have fancy lavender eye pillows, this is the moment where you can put those on. I don't have one, but you might. As we start to settle in for our final Shavasana, our corpse pose, the moment where we allow everything that we did during our practice today to really sink in. So many of us will be lying with our legs long. Another option that people oftentimes like is to do the butterfly legs that we did before the Baddha Konasana as we're lying on our backs. So it'll look something like this. It's up to you. Feet can be like this, feet can be long. For those of you who like to do legs up the wall, that's another option too, a nice supported inversion. Feel free to take that here as well. Here's where we release the Ujjayi breath, that ocean-sounding breath, we let it go. And we reconnect with the Dirga breath, that low belly breathing from the opening. And we come to stillness. As you lie here, noticing that gentle rise and fall of your belly. I'd like to share a poem with you that has been circulating all over social media. And I think the message is really lovely. So I thought I would read it to you as you continue to surrender in this final pose, your eyes closed. It's called Pandemic by Lynn Unger. What if you thought of it as the Jews consider the Sabbath, the most sacred of times? Cease from travel. Cease from buying and selling. Give up, just for now, on trying to make the world different than it is. Sing, pray, touch only those to whom you commit your life. Center down. And when your body has become still, reach out with your heart. Know that we are connected in ways that are terrifying and beautiful. You could hardly deny it now. Know that our lives are in one another's hands. Surely that has come clear. Do not reach out your hands. Reach out your heart. Reach out your words. Reach out all the tendrils of compassion that move invisibly where we cannot touch. Promise this world your love, for better or for worse, in sickness and in health, so long as we all shall live. Deepen your breath. Start to bring your awareness to this space and bring small movements to your fingers and your toes. Just beginning to gently wake up your body. And in your own time, in the next few breaths, gently roll over to one side and rest there. Wrap your arms around yourself and give yourself a really nice hug. You've earned it. And give yourself that final reminder. Compassion. Compassion, compassion. A compassion that is sometimes easier to extend to others than it is to ourselves. Maybe even press a hand on your heart. And remind yourself that you are so worth it. Press your hands down into the ground strongly and bring yourself, no rush, to come to seated again at the front of your mat. We'll join one another here. And if you would, bring your palms together at your heart center. Close your eyes, and maybe even bow your head towards your hands. At the end of every yoga practice, I bow towards my students and I say namaste. Namaste is this acknowledgement that I bow to the light that's in each one of you. So, if you're so inclined, I will bow towards you and say namaste, and if you would like, in response, you can bow then towards me and respond with a namaste. Here we go. Namaste. And we slowly come back to seated. Hey, take your time here before getting back online and before coming back onto Facebook and reading news posts. Maybe you take a moment to slowly roll your mat back up, to move into the rest of your day, carrying a little bit of this feeling inside of you. And remember, you don't need me for this. All you need is yourself and your breath will always be there for you. Thank you so much for practicing with me. Again, if you're able to take a selfie, I'd love if you would send it to me so that I can see that you were practicing with me here today. Okay. Take good care, okay? Be well.